The topic for today is the financial markets, meaning plus functions. Let us discuss. See, financial market is a market for creation and exchange of financial assets. We talk about assets, but here we have financial assets. Financial assets in the form of securities, shares and bonds. So financial market is the place where such type of financial assets, they are created and being sold and of course being exchanged. Okay, so when we talk about all these financial assets, how they are formed and how they are exchanged, purchased and sold, that is what a financial market is. Financial market act as a forum to facilitate financial transactions through the creation, sale and transfer of financial securities. It is a platform where all these financial transactions take place, in which we create, sell and transfer the financial securities. With this transfer of securities, transfer of financial securities, the ownership changes, the money, it remains with the company. Now, if you buy or sell financial assets, you will participate in financial markets in some way or the other. Now, supposingly, I am just purchasing 100 shares today, which were already pre-owned by somebody else. Now, just with the purchase of those 100 shares, the money transfer takes place between me and the person who sells it, but I am a person to participate in the financial market. I will be a person who is dealing in financial market. Now, whose company's shares I have purchased, he may not know about it. He may not know that his shares are being sold by one person and purchased by the other. But still, I have participated in the financial market. Okay. Now, financial markets play a key role in the economy by stimulating growth, influencing economic performance of the factors and affecting economic welfare. Now, if there is a sound and a well-organized financial market, we assume that the economy is also running at a good speed. In the growth of the economy, these financial markets play a significant role. They also influence the economic performance of the factors and which actually affect the economic welfare. Everything is related of the economic growth of the country is also related to the development and of the financial market. It is a key role in accelerating the pace of the country's economic growth. Now, this is achieved by financial infrastructure in which the entities with funds allocate those funds to those who have potentially more productive ways to invest those funds. Now, see, if there is a well-developed financial market, then there is a good financial infrastructure in the country. If there are a lot many companies and businessmen who are issuing shares, who are floating their securities and bonds, so that means there is a lot way to go in the country in the name of financial infrastructure. And what actually is happening is the funds are picked up from those who have in surplus and they are being transferred to those who have more productive ways to invest those funds. That fund may be lying in my and your home idly in some corner of the Almira. They will be picked up from there. We shall be entering the financial market and the funds will be transferred to those who will be investing in the industry and the infrastructure. So this is how the pattern works. A sound financial market makes it more efficient way to transfer funds. Obviously, the person who is lending the money is also happier and the person who is borrowing the money is also equally happier. So it's a more efficient way in which the funds are transferred, A, and B, there is high financial infrastructure also developed, and C, the economic growth of the country also get accelerated further. Now see, there are the savers or the creditors who enter into the financial market through the financial instruments. Okay, and then these financial instruments also link to the lenders or the debtors. They are also linked to through the financial instruments. So the link is established between this column to this column via this our financial market, in which this segment of people is also satisfied and happy, and so is happy and satisfied is this segment of people. Now, we'll discuss the functions. Financial markets facilitate price discovery. See, the continual interaction among the numerous buyers and sellers who throng the financial markets help in establishing the prices of financial assets. Well-organized financial market seems to be remarkably efficient in price discovery. So, to assume the price of a particular thing, what we do is we enter into financial market and discover its price. So, you can easily come across to know the actual value of your asset if you enter financial market. This is why the economists say that if you want to know what value of the financial asset is, simply look at its price in the financial market. Now, supposingly, I have a company and I have recently floated some shares. Now, what is my actual worth? I will look at the value of those shares in the financial market, and this is how I will discover that what is my worth of the shares. So, if you want to discover the price of your asset, you have to look at the financial market, which make it very easy and comfortable to determine the price of that very asset. Financial markets provide liquidity to financial assets. Investors can readily sell their financial assets through mechanism of financial market. In the absence of financial markets which provide such liquidity, the motivation of investors to hold financial assets will be considerably diminished. Now see, supposingly I have 5 lakh rupees at my disposal right now, which I may or may not be needing in the near future, or if at all, maybe I would be needing it after say 6 to 7 years. Now in the span of those 6 and 7 years, what should I do of those extra money which I have? I can keep it as it is in my Almira. Of course, there will be no value addition to that money. So what happens is I invest in the financial market, right? I am so happy. I am glad that I'll be earning profits over it. But at the same time, what another satisfaction, okay, one more relief is being provided to me is the liquidity. Okay, as and when if I need it, I don't need it for 6 years, well and good. And if at all, if I need it, I have the liquidity, I can easily convert it into cash. This is the biggest relief which an investor can ask for his money. Okay, thanks to the negotiability and the transferability of securities through the financial markets, it is possible for the companies and other entities to raise long-term funds from investors with short-term and medium-term horizons. While one investor is substituted by another when a security is transacted, the company is assured of long-term availability of the funds. Now what happens is, if I have purchased the shares, right, I can easily sell them and I can get cash in return. And at the same time, the company who has issued the shares is not to be bothered. He is not under the liability to pay the same sum of money to the person who is selling the shares. The company can use that funds accordingly, whatever investment he has done. So the transfer of shares will take place between me and another new person without even informing the company. The company can run at its own pace, at its own speed without getting disturbed. So I am happy and safe that my financial assets, they give me enough liquidity. I am not bound into them that I will not be able to convert them into cash before 5 years. I can immediately get it. I can immediately get cash for it. So there is no such tension. So a point that they provide liquidity to the financial assets. Further, see, financial markets considerably reduce the cost of transacting. Two major costs associated with transacting are search costs and the information costs. Let us study them. Search costs comprise explicit costs such as the expenses incurred on advertising when one wants to buy or sell an asset, and implicit costs such as the effort and the time one has to put in to locate a customer, right? So you are your such costs when you have to search for an asset, even if when you are selling or buying it, the search costs, where should I invest, how should I invest, okay, now if I want to sell it, whom should I sell, where should I find the prospective buyer, such search costs are reduced to the minimum. And of course, the effort and the time which you have to put in to find a buyer, that has also been reduced by these financial markets. Further, the information costs refer to the costs incurred in evaluating the investment merits of the financial assets. Supposingly, I have to invest in, say, the mutual funds. Now, what are the investment merits and demerits? Should I block my funds in this particular securities or should I not? So, those information which I have to gather, before I block my money in any form of security gets reduced thanks to the financial market. Further, mobilization of savings and channelizing into more productive uses. This is as clear as it sounds to be, because financial market gives impetus to the savings of the people. It picks up the savings of the people which are lying idly in their houses and channelizes into productive uses. This market takes the uselessly lying finance in the form of cash to the places where it is really needed. Those people transfer their idly lying cash to someone who is going to build an industry from the same, right? And that industry, when it will function, when it will run, it will provide employment opportunities to so many people. It will add to the infrastructure of the country. It will add to the economic growth of the country. So the money which was lying idle has entered the economic stream, and which will have a multiplying effect on the employment and the income of other people. Many financial instruments are made available for transferring finance from one side to the other side. So we know there are so many other financial instruments in the same league. The investors can invest in any of these instruments according to their wish. So whatever someone finds it useful, and you have faith in that particular type of financial asset, you can go along with it, and everything does the same. Your money is invested, which gives you return. Diversification and reduction in risk. See, financial markets provide a variety of financial products or instruments with varied of risk return matrix. Risk return matrix means many securities, they have higher the risk, higher the return. And at the same time, lower the risk, lower the return. If you invest in an FD, so there is almost 0% risk. If it is for 1 year or of 2 years, after that stipulated time, you will get the fixed amount of money. But the return is also not very high because the risk is less. In case the risk is high, then the return is also high. So there is so much diversification. This provides the investor with the choice of the right product to match his needs, and thereby gives him the advantage of diversification and reduced risk. So if you are very happy with high risk and you want to invest in high returns, and you are daring to go in for a higher risk type, you can go that way, or vice versa, right? Now, easy transfer of financial asset. Financial markets facilitate ease in transferring financial assets between the investor and the borrower. These markets also provide easy payment mechanisms. It's very easy to invest, it's very easy to sell it, okay? And how they link the investors and the borrowers, and even the payment mechanisms are not at all difficult. It is very easy to transfer it and to reap cash out of it. So this gets to the end of the article. I hope you understood the facts very nicely. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay blessed.